Hello, my friends, and I hope you're having a great day. We have quite a little dust-up to talk about. First, I am going to admit up front, I have never played Warhammer. I know a little bit about it, but for tabletop gaming, I am more of a D&D 3.5 girl. Honestly, I prefer 2 if I can get it. But that said, I do understand the issue that we're having currently with what I would term a little bit of creeping in tabletop gaming, though in D&D's case, it's a little less creeping and more all-out invasion. However, Warhammer is now facing the same issues. Today, Warhammer was asked, why did they make female custodes? They put out a call for new pre-orders on minis, and someone wanted to know, why did they make female custodes? And the Warhammer official answer was, since the first of the 10,000 were created, there have always been female custodians. Now, there are many people who have called this out as untrue, considering that never before has it ever been mentioned, and it's always been mentioned as male only. So to address that, because I don't play Warhammer, we are going to look through this thread by Grums, who has put together a thread to debunk said issue. Game Workshops at Warhammer lies about custodes and Retcons lore, gender flipping them in the new 10th edition codex for woke points, and possibly to prep for larger changes ahead, aka rumored female space marines. And he's going to prove it in this thread too. He's provided this with this delightful little image. Oh no, you didn't. The continue sign. This will be linked. I will try to do my best to remember to put in all of these links in my description because there will be quite a few of them. Warhammer 40k is a grim, dark sci-fi tabletop game that is the #1 miniature gaming IP in the world. The Adeptus Custodes are the Emperor's inner guard, much stronger, better in every way than Space Marines. Introduced in the Rogue Trader rules in 1987 as men from the very start. So as you can see in the picture, you have a lovely image of something being shot. You can't quite see. And as it says here, bureaucratic departments, the most important of which are the Adeptus Custodes, the Adeptus Mechanicus, the Adeptus Arbites, the Adeptus Astronomica, the Adeptus Astrotelepathica, and the Administratum. The Adeptus Custodes is the Emperor's inner guard, the members of which are privileged in being permitted to serve upon the Emperor, attending to his needs, receiving and recording his directions. These men never leave Earth, and only rarely leave the Imperial Palace, an endless black hive of forbidden technology and subterranean passages, delving deep within the bowels of the planet. And these men, it's obviously very much mentioned that they are men. The next appearance of the Custodes and their trademark gold armor appeared in the Horus Heresy trading card game in 2003. I searched every Custode card and found 0 female artwork. So here you have Michaela Caburnus, Shield Captain, Legio Custode, Emperor Spear, Legio Custodes, Rocanus, Vespon, Command Squad, Neuron Squad. I'm not even going to try to say that. Very nice artwork. Emperor Spear, Hunting Eagles, Ventari Squad. So as you can see, none of them look remotely female, obviously. In the 7th and 8th edition of the official Custodes codexes, they are repeatedly referred to as the Brotherhood of Demigods, recruited from the sons of nobles. And for the record, if anybody's confused, sons tend to be boys. Here we are, the Brotherhood of Demigods. The Adeptus Custodes, it is a name spoken in reverent whispers, for these warriors have stood in the presence of the immortal Emperor of mankind and are charged with his protection. His greatness runs in their veins, undiluted by the passage of eons. They have been called the Emperor's right hand, for they act with his authority and they fight in his name. Only now, as the threat of chaos grows ever greater and takes its dreaded toll, does that gilded hand reach out and become an eagle's claw. The Custodian Guard are the talons of the Emperor unsheathed, and they will tear the corruption of chaos from the Imperium, no matter the cost. For millennia, the Adeptus Custodes have formed the unyielding core of the Emperor's multi-layered defenses. The Custodian Guard, charged with the physical protection of the Master of Mankind, spend every waking second devoted to their task, refining their warrior skills and constantly testing and updating their own strategies to ensure the sanctity of the Emperor's throne. They are his last line of defense against a hostile galaxy hell-bent on humanity's destruction. If they fail in their task, the Imperium will collapse from the inside out. Their duty is so sacred, their reputation so profound, that even the Space Marines and Inquisitors kneel before them. Here they are again, Brotherhood of Demigods. It is known that all custodians begin their lives as the infant sons of the noble houses of Terra. It is a mark of incredible prestige to surrender one's child to this most glorious of callings within the Imperium, and many notable clans amongst the Terran aristocracy have willingly given up almost entire generation of newborn sons to earn it. Wow, that's a lot. Allowing every dynasty that had offered up its sons to claim their children as the successful ones alive and well among the Golden Brotherhood. Yep, definitely all about boys. And again, all of the artwork of the custodes have been male in these codexes. The lore is very clear about this. Custodes are a brotherhood and sons of noblemen. All the artwork confirms this, so we'll take another look at that. Definitely a man with a nice big spiky hammer. Another man with a nice big pointy sword, big shield. Again, men, axes and swords and golden armor are all around. Eagles. It's a pretty cool image. I like that. This one's also really cool. I really like this artwork here. Reminds me of some of the D&D stuff. Games Workshop is simply lying when they claim that there have always been female custodians. If so, why is there no mention of this? No artwork, and all the fluff in released art for decades reinforces they are male. So why did they do this? By now, we all know the reason for this. They are rewriting the core lore of Warhammer 40k in order to pander for ESG and DEI masters who collectively own nearly a quarter of their stocks, which really doesn't sound like a lot, but it is more than you would think. And we see the shareholder statistics, substantial shareholdings, the following interest in 3% or more of the issued share capital of the company as of February 29th, I'm not sure what year this is. This is kind of cut off. Bailey Guilford, BlackRock, and Vanguard. We're not going to get too far into the politics of this, but yeah, the people here who will agree with anything I have to say understand what that means. The people who don't agree with what I have to say probably want a longer explanation so that they can argue with it, but honestly, it's not worth getting into. What we need to do is break up this kind of ownership, but that's a future issue to deal with first. Now, this is a longer thread with a lot of detail in it, so I do highly recommend that you go through and read the rest yourself. Again, I will be linking the rest. Now, as Grum says here, the issue with Warhammer and the custodes is the lie. They could have changed it all they wanted, but they decided to lie and pretend it was that way all along. That lie is part of an insidious, malignant ideology that throws away all reason and fact. That is the part that is dangerous. Now, I will say to some degree, I believe they were answering in character as opposed to trying to explain. So they are literally just saying, oh, it's always been that way. That is not okay for a number of reasons. The first of it being it's just lazy and boring. And nobody wants that. It shows very little care for what they're doing. And it shows that they just want to shoehorn something in for the fun of it. That said, this fellow came up with an interesting thing. War Master Horace Lupercal here at Warhammer. I spent literally 10 minutes thinking about this. Tradition is it's always the sons of Terran nobles. After so many millennia, the pool of candidates that are acceptable to custodes is so diminished, it's become a big problem. Some custodes go searching for an answer, comes across some text that it's never been attempted on women due to the natural passive responses plus tradition. No one has ever tried to send a girl in as a candidate or something, because the method of creating a custodes is said to be fundamentally different than an Astartes. I apologize if I said that wrong. There is a chance that it could work and create a custode from a woman that is just as effective as a male candidate. Loath to expend resources on a gamble, the custode who figured this out manages to convince the Captain General to attempt creating one female custode, and then write a great story about the process she goes through to get there. Show what happens to those who fail. Elaborate on how a custode is created, at least somewhat. Is it perfect? No, but it's a far cry better than because it's always been that way. And honestly, that could be a really good story. It could be a good story that not only introduces females, but it could also expand on the actual lore behind custodes. That is a great idea, but no, they don't care enough to give us that kind of, well, not us. They don't care enough to give Warhammer fans that kind of thought, that kind of care. It's just so much easier to say, no, it's always been that way. Now, saying all that, there are a number of women who wanted to weigh in on this. Pick-Mazana, who has renamed herself that because of the number of times she's been called a pick-me today. It's always irritating. I am a female player. I have Ultramarine Orcs, Chaos Marines. I collect various minis that I enjoy, like Grimaldus. I apologize again for the mispronunciation. From now on, I will be 3D printing. I will pirate your books and share them with all my friends for free. The pandering is insulting and condescending. We also have the Writing Raven. I'm literally fuming at this new Warhammer retcon. There should not be female custodes, just as there should not be female Astartes. The Sisters of Battle and the Sisters of Silence are the female counterparts for each. I will not accept anything else, which is understandable. I mean, if you already have a female faction, why not expand on it? Why not add more to that instead of simply tossing it in? It's disgusting. This one I liked because it's got pretty pictures. First, I want to address this part. Rebecca is one who was having a argument with the previous lady, Pick Mazzena, sorry. And her opinion appears to be that if there's not 50% representation, then it's not enough. We won't even get into how that's absolutely stupid, pulling random numbers out your butt just because half the world's population is female, therefore half of everything should be female. Are half of the Barbies male? No, they're not. Are half of the My Little Ponies male? No. Are any of the My Little Ponies male? Oh. Anyway, there is no reason that anything needs to be a 50-50 split between men and women. The idea that has to be, women like this seriously irritate me for a variety of reasons, but we'll get into that later. However, what I really wanted to deal with in this image is the token female mini in question. This is only a sliver of my collection. I bring in a big old box of just sororitas? I apologize again, to GW, and always get praise for how beautiful they are by men and women. Stop trying to degrade and dismiss them. They are more valid than some token custode. And then we have, these are really well painted. They look very nice. I'm actually really impressed with the details she's gone in on these. The flowers are gorgeous. That's actual in the coloring on the guns. She's done an excellent job on the detailing. Black and purple looks really nice together. And then she has some more down here. Actually, I think that might be a repeat. Painting these takes a shit ton of work. And look at this. This is freehand. So she's done an amazing job. And some tanks. I think they're tanks with cute little hearts on them. It's adorable. It's very fun. Whimsical, one might say. But no, they're very cool. Very impressive. It's one of those scary things. It's like, why... What representation is missing? But there's more to this than just simple female representation. There is, of course, video games to sell. And since they're being pumped with the bad information that you can only sell these things to more people if you add women, this brings me to their current advertising. So here we have Master of the TDS. He has been tracking the bots that various corporations, including Disney, have been using to push advertising of their various properties. He has done an amazing job tracking these down and figuring out how they work. So we're going to take a look at the few of these, but first we are going to read his tweet. Warhammer has been the topic of discussion today due to the Warhammer official account claiming, since the first of the 10,000 were created, there have always been female custodians. Many fans were quick to point out that this is not mentioned in the lore and accused the Warhammer team of making changes to lore to be more inclusive and diverse in the hopes of appealing to a wider market. Speaking of appealing to a wider market, it would appear that someone involved with Warhammer might not be too confident in their game's continued success because the bots are once again out promoting Warhammer Vermintide as well as Darktide. Worth noting that one of these tweets even has no likes or retweets, one comment, and 4 million views. The Emperor is not pleased. And you will be able to find again a link to this tweet in the description below. Warhammer Vermintide 2. Enter the grim dark fantasy world of Warhammer as a member of the resistance against the rattle-like Skaven and the chaotic forces of chaos. Okay. With cooperative gameplay and intense melee combat, Vermintide 2 offers a visceral experience. And then we have, basically the same thing again, with some vague differences. Wow, okay. Here in response, again, the same thing. It's really scary when you start looking at these, how many of these are really just the same thing over and over and over again with minor variations. And you can see, even just with me quickly skimming through the images like this, that there are just so many cut and paste responses here that it is crazy. Master of the TDS puts a lot of work into these. I would appreciate it if you would go to his channel, follow him and his lovely wife do a gothic therapy video every Sunday, almost every Sunday, and they are just lovely people in general. And he works so hard finding this, putting it together, and showing it to us. He's been working hard to get traction on this. A lot of people will dismiss it because it's like, they've been doing this, so who cares? Well, they've been doing it to manipulate us, and it's time we call them out so that we can make them stop. That's part of the point. And now we've reached the part of the video where I'm just going to speak my piece on this. And again, I will reiterate that I do not play Warhammer. But what's happening here has happened in many of the hobbies I love, D&D being one of them, and it is extremely frustrating and heartbreaking to watch it happen to others. The fact of the matter is these people don't care, and they really show it. This is possibly the laziest attempt at even trying to pretend that they care about representation. And honestly, the whole idea that they think that this will work and make anybody happy is ridiculous. I mean, there are the sad, desperate people out there who really just want some shred of recognition, something that they can identify with, because they apparently have no ability to identify with anything outside of themselves. And that this will please those people. But let's face it, nearly anything pleases those people, except for if you tell them, they should be a little less shallow. The people doing this have no care for the actual product or the customers. And they'll say, oh, that's a byproduct of capitalism, which is entirely untrue. Part of capitalism is ensuring that you create a product and sell a product that your customers wish to buy. You can't just create a product and think that you are deserved customers. And too many of the people who have reached these points and start doing this believe they are deserved customers. They believe they deserve to have customers just buy their thing because they worked so hard on it. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how hard you work on a thing if other people don't want it. It's depressing, but it's true. You can't force people to buy a thing. This concept applies across all gaming. It's not just tabletop. It's not just video games. And honestly, it applies even beyond gaming. But we won't go into that because, again, I'm not trying to get too far into the politics here. That's for other places. This is my gaming channel. Anyway, in the end, if they're going to try to represent women, they should be held to a standard of at least trying to be creative, at least trying to give people something that they want. But they don't. They make zero effort. They don't actually care. All they want to do is pretend that they care and then get the accolades from that. I put it in another post where it's basically like you're dating a guy who's been ignoring you for a week, and he goes to the grocery store and buys a half-ass wilted bouquet of flowers, hands it to you, and then goes off and plays a video game, thinking that's supposed to make it okay. And it doesn't work. If they think that that's what most women want, I mean, there are, like I said, the low self-esteem people who are just eager to see themselves in anything. If they genuinely think this is what women want, then they need more help. They need more help than we can get them. They don't understand or respect women. They just want to pretend that they do. That said, it's a lot of information, my friends. Let me know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you mad? I want to hear about it. Like, follow, subscribe, turn on the notifications, and I will catch you later.